So I should open the meeting of May the 6th, yes, of the Open Space Committee. David Howell.
John McElroy.
Mike Carboni.
Jim Dooley.
Christina Hoffman. David.
And we have a guest today.
Yes, my name's Julie Marion.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Right. So, are you here with a comment? Because we have a space for public comments at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes, well, I'm here because I wanted to find out if there was any interest from the Open Space Committee to give the Newberry Garden Club some direction, and I'm serving as the president this year for 2025. And so what happened was there was a gal named Deb Lambert. She was a long-established Corliss nursery employee. Do you all know her?
I don't know her. I know Corliss.
No, okay, so she worked there for a really long time. She never had any children. She passed away a few years ago. And the gentleman who is dispersing her estate contacted all of the local garden clubs and they offered $2,000 to us. And he was specifically looking for 501c3s. We are not a 501c3. We will never be a 501c3. However, we called him and we said, well, do you want the money back? And he said, no, a gift is a gift. But Deb really wanted in her memory to have, and I explained this to Stacey already, to have beautification and or education done in her name around the North Shore. So, we have a lot of different ideas and we've been pursuing them. We contacted ACES, we talked to Lon about the lower green, I talked to the tree warden about the upper green and the lower green. There are long-established honorary members of the garden club like Liz Armstrong, you might know her family's name, who planted 2 dogwoods at the Performing Arts Center, and one of the dogwoods died. So there's just lots of different ideas and locations where we might be able to do something creative and nice with this limit. It's a limited amount of money, it's not like $20,000. But I walk my dog almost every day along the Newberry-Port watershed, the upper Artichoke and the lower watershed, where the reservoir is. And ACES has done a fantastic tree walk there. And I just sent the pictures to Sadie. So they have identified with the high school kids the different trees along that walk, and they had the plaques donated. The kids researched like what kind of tree it was, why it's important, and then they built on that, and they now have some other signs about the history of the Artichoke River and why it was important and how it functions and all these different things. So we wanted to do something specific to Newberry. And when I talked with the tree warden, he said that most of the land is owned by Greenbelt in Newberry. And so I said, well, I'm going to go find out. And I'm passionate about meadows, and I also walk my dog a great meadow. And so I thought, maybe there's some signage or something we can do to teach people and educate people. It doesn't just have to be little kids. Oh, by the way, we did contact the elementary school as well, but they planted things and everybody has a problem with watering. See, this is the issue. There's no water in the lower green, trees died. The tree that they planted in honor of the tree warden who passed away, that tree died. The Newberry Elementary School principal told me that they planted a bunch of rhododendrons in honor of great staff people. Those have died because no one's there to water them. So kind of wanted to do something a little longer lasting. But it could be a tree, it could be something. So I thought I would come and talk with you and see if you have special projects that you're interested in, and maybe the garden club can partner with you. And it doesn't have to be this year. It would be great if it happened like this year, because my term ends, but it doesn't have to, because our club has been in existence for 65 years. So, but all of us are on the older side, so we wouldn't really be doing the work. Like, we wouldn't really be planting a tree, or we'd hire it out, right? Or we would figure out how to get a plaque donated or something like that. So that's kind of, you look puzzled.
No, my mind is my gears are going, and actually I think this is wonderful timing.
Oh, good.
And I tell you why, because we're having a public meeting on the 20th of this month, right here, okay? And part of that public meeting is going to be, it's one of the things we're here to sort of put, I wouldn't say even the final touches on, but touches on tonight. And one of the parts of that, I think, is going to be, in fact, having the people who come, okay, who are any resident in town who wants to come, to work on some ideas about doing things, their ideas, in Newbury. And it strikes me that this is an absolute perfect fit if you would be willing to come and essentially make the little presentation you just have, and essentially what we would do is to, this is all off the top of my head, and other people can jump in, but essentially to set up a little work group to direct their attention to how that kind of money might be used in regard to Newbury's open space. If it were me, I know exactly what to do with it, but I'm not going to say it.
Oh, no, please. No, please share, because it really, so we're getting together next Wednesday, and we're going to do a brainstorming session. We have a couple of master gardeners in the club, but please do share some ideas so I can bring it back to the club, and that. There's no rules here, and the gentleman was so kind. If we bought a plant specimen, obviously we would buy it through that nursery. But if we do something else that's more educational and signage and things, then maybe that money can go further,
Yeah.
And Sadie has the photos of the stuff that I was talking about.
These nice, like,
Oh, yeah.
little map and everything. There's a QR code there, I think. There's this pretty, art.
Oh, yeah, this is the high
Native
school
plant.
dance.
That's the Newburyport Artichoke.
Oh, right.
So that's the West Newbury Garden Club
Gotcha.
did that.
Yes,
And
right.
that just got put up. And I don't know if it's painted or not, but I was thinking, I wonder how long that's gonna last.
It looks,
Because it's brand new,
I
I don't know, let's check after a few winters, right?
yeah.
Well, I agree. I feel like it is really good timing, and I feel like if we have ideas that we can share with you, great. I was thinking of it like even from a different angle of we're trying to gather up what the priorities of the town might be, and then when we get those priorities of the town, then it might be like, okay, and could we possibly use this money towards advancing one of those priorities? And maybe the priorities will be so big, it will be, it could be part of another, set of resources needed in order to move things forward. So I was kind of thinking of it from a reverse standpoint, because you just gave us your whole pitch, so I feel like we know it now, we hear it. I don't want to make you come back to another meeting, so I feel like we have your message, but of course, everybody's welcome to come to the next meeting on the 20th, by the way.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that we had a long-standing member of the club, Cheryl McCarthy, who passed away last year, and so we planted a lilac bush in her name. That's her favorite plant. She was on the Friends of the Library. So, someone suggested, well, why not the library? And because we've kind of already done it, And then there was another woman where there was a garden, and none of these guys want to maintain a garden. Like, we don't have the resources to do that. it's kind of like a one-shot thing, you know? And, but, you know,
Yeah.
more minds, more ideas are better. And, you know, it's a small amount of money too, you know, so
Right.
maybe something like super focused and, you know.
Yeah, if it's not something like a planting because of, watering
Yeah.
restraints or something like that, I mean, if there's a nice vista that, pops into mind somewhere in town here, something like a nice bench, with a plaque on it or something like that could be an option that would fit in that budget for sure.
Right.
That could be an avenue, I know you're a garden club, but,
Oh, no, but you know,
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
sits in the garden.
yeah, definitely, that's right.
Yeah, so that would be
Something
awesome.
like that, or on a trail, somewhere, nice resting spot for folks to enjoy and also have
Yeah.
a memorial,
So you were saying that there's way more open space
than just green.
than, well, than just, I mean, I don't know, is Great Meadow, is that part of Newberry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
town owns that.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, a bench there would be awesome, I don't know. I mean, you guys tell us what you kind of think, for.
Can I make sure that we have this lady's name and contact information?
Yes.
I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Okay.
what was the name
Okay.
of the woman whose
Yes.
name is being donated? Deb, what's her last name?
Deb Lambert, Lambert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, and she has a YouTube video, she's really knowledgeable, but yeah, so that's why I came tonight.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Not to criticize the open space plan.
Well,
We welcome that feedback too. But we haven't written it out everyone yet, so.
We're good at taking criticism.
Right, I'm going to say we can comfortably say we don't have one, so you can't.
Well, yeah, we are working on one.
Yes.
Actually, that is one of the requirements of the open space plan that we canvass partner organizations. So we've been doing that with other ones. You would be a perfect candidate for that.
Yeah, if the garden club has any suggestions in terms of open space in Newberry, and any ideas when you brainstorm next week with your
Yeah.
group, if you guys have any ideas that you want to send our way, we would love it. And we have we even have a survey that we would love everybody to take about open space in Newberry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
whatever
send
you
you
can
all
publicize
the
that,
listening
yeah.
for
Whatever you can do to publicize to your.
Okay, sure, yeah. Now, not everyone lives in Newberry,
Yeah.
but the majority of people do. And so, because it's the Newberry Garden Club.
I didn't even know that Newberry had a garden club, so I.
Oh, really? Wow.
And
So,
I lived here for 10 years. I didn't know
they're
that.
like, I've been in the club for 8, but I was walking in Mosley one day, and this lady says to me, I said, oh, I joined a garden club. She goes, oh, which one was it? And I said, oh, the Newberry Garden Club. She goes, oh, those are the ladies that lunch. So they do a little gardening and they do a lot of lunching.
Never worked.
It's like our garden club.
They're fantastic women and long ties to the community here. So
They're related to the Romeos, the retired old men eating out. Right. Tell me, are your members, and any of them, or perhaps some of them in particular, interested in, wildflower meadow kinds of things, approaches to gardening?
you mean for like a lecture or for?
Well, no, I meant specifically people who might have that kind of interest and therefore that kind of knowledge, because I don't know, one of the things that I think is true is that people are moving away, thank God, from lawns and grass. Certainly I have. And so what I'm thinking simply is that, frankly, to me, just me only, people can join if they wish, and that is that the classic opportunity, I think, is Great Meadow, because I think Great Meadow needs documentation. It needs a really nice informational board there telling you the history of it, and the geology and all of those kind of things, but also, frankly, it's an opportunity to find out what the wildfire population is, because I have heard mutterings that there are a couple of things that are really quite rare there, which people are very concerned about, the fact that there are dog walkers who tend to, because Newbury has no leash laws, let them off, etc., etc. So anyway, to me, that would be something that would be much more permanent and not have the issue of having to water the tree kind of thing. And also would be ongoing in the sense that it would engage people into the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent idea. And as far as like the club having a lot of knowledge, we have, like I said, 3 master gardeners that have gone for that designation. A lot of the ladies, they have small plots of gardening. They, and they're older, so,
Right.
I mean, I think probably one of my gardens violates most of the trend now, with the lawn and everything. Yeah, I mean, I think there's an interest in that, and, there's another gal, you guys probably know her, I always pronounce her name wrong though, so it's Molly, is it Janowitz, or, you know who I'm talking about?
From Newburyport? No.
Newberry.
From Newbury.
She lives on High Road.
Yeah.
And she's a horticulturalist, and she is very into not lawns, not leaf blowing, natural landscapes, that kind of thing. She would be an excellent resource. She's not in a club, but I just listened to a YouTube
So she's
thing.
somebody we should reach out to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to give you her name. She's a Newberry resident.
Right.
So, are you taking the minutes,
I am.
sir? Okay, I'm going to give you her Instagram handle here, right here. So, there you go.
That's perfect.
I know there are also just some,
Sounds like she wants some
how
additional.
should I say it, it's just small gardens that are in various and sundry places throughout the town. In particular, one I was just thinking about today at the corner of Downfall Road and Church Street. There's a little monument across the street, and then there's a small area that has, if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, I'm just thinking there are situations like that, but it would be, again, back to this notion of, these would be, little plots that you would plant with vegetation of one variety.
So that's right where the old school used to be, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Our
So,
school, there's actually a little place there.
Right.
I know it because we walk our dog.
right. So, and I think that's where one of the dogwoods was planted by Liz Armstrong and Suki. I forgot what Suki's last name is, Church or something like that. She passed away. But yeah, so we're definitely open to things like that too. We're just trying to find the best use of the money so it's not wasted. Doing an educational fair for kindergartners or elementary school. I mean, it's sort of lost on the next gen. I mean,
It's a one and done thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, but everyone can learn, continue
Yeah.
to learn. If we linked a QR code, it might be good to have it go to the town website rather than our website, because I don't know if we'll always have a website. I would, so.
Yeah, we have on the website, for the open space committee, that
Yeah.
section of the website has the map, including a map we
Right.
put together,
Right.
as well as other open space locations, so you can
Right.
see, I could see this fitting in as a
Right.
Word type.
Right. And it's so
Guide.
simple to do.
It is.
Yeah, it doesn't cost much, so.
Another idea is, I know the highway department mows certain sections of the town as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a small garden in there, we could convince them to keep it watered or something. That's another possibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Down the road.
Mhm. The tree warden told me that they have watering trucks, but one of our master gardeners said that it's about 3 years worth of watering because the plant specimen that comes from the nursery, is that right? You do landscaping? So,
Time to time.
okay, so, well, I don't know, I just suspected. But then you would have to water it for 3 years before it's established because they're babied at the nursery,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know how much does a water truck cost? Probably a lot.
Yeah, I've read one, but yeah, I'm sure, I'm sure that is it. They also have those bags you can put around trees.
Oh, yeah.
Fill, and they slowly leach, and those.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's a little less maintenance heavy, just fill it up,
Right.
weekly kind of thing, you know, over a few days or whatever.
Right. So I don't know how much those cost.
Well, I think we do have rather a lot on our plate tonight.
Yeah, so I'll let you go and do that.
That's
Can we leave it that, if anything else comes up tonight, we'll get back in touch with you if it's specific, okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise, can we encourage any of your members to come on the 20th, right here at 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
We can do one of those slips,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say,
Right.
maybe a pilot.
Sure.
How
Yeah.
many members do you have of your garden club?
We have 35. But that's okay, you don't have to give us 35.
I'll give you a good chunk.
So we put out a newsletter each month, so I can make copies at home too.
Okay,
You know, so yeah, so that sounds good.
Okay.
I had one other thought for you too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the timing of it's gonna be like, but they're advancing the rail trail from Georgetown, the Georgetown side of Newbury into Byfield. And just thinking, I don't know if you've ever walked sections of the rail trail in Newburyport where I think different garden clubs.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting because they've all kind of created different little ecosystems along the rail trail there. Some have dedications, some are just, you know, Newburyport Garden Club, whatever, you know. I think some of those are maintenance heavy, and I think some are also designed as more of like a drought tolerant, you know, self-sustaining kind of, you know, garden activity too. So I mean, just thinking like, that could be something to explore as that rail trail gets brought through town, you know, in different stages. So it's done a really nice job in the Newburyport
Where's
section.
the layout of that? Where do I go to?
It's on the website right
Okay.
now,
On
at the town
our website?
website, yes.
Okay, I'll look around.
Yeah, I think you go on Parker Street, if you were to park on Parker Street, there's a rail trail entrance there.
Oh,
Like after the roundabout coming from this side. And then if you were to park, there's 3 spots, and if you just start walking south, there's little
Yeah.
gardens. They're all named and community garden here and,
Like the Newburyport branch.
Yeah,
the Newbury.
it's-
Oh, is that in Newbury? No, it's in
You're
Newbury.
talking-
dances the line over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, here's the line.
Yeah, you're talking about down
Yeah.
at the Rotary,
You're
right?
talking about the rail trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Rotary, but the rail
Yeah,
trail that
is
goes.
that, we're talking about a different rail trail?
Well, I was just thinking about the stuff Kristen has been sending around
Yeah.
about the next phase coming from the Georgetown side. It hasn't even been constructed yet.
Right.
We
So I think some of that.
The examples of where she wants to
Yes.
see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've walked, we've been
Oh,
there.
okay, sorry. I thought you were looking
No,
at
yeah,
But
but I
there is-
appreciate that, yeah.
There is going to be, okay, and you know, we'll all be a bit older when it happens, because it's not gonna happen until 27, because I went to the thing they had online about it earlier. There is a section through Byfield of the rail trail, or not the rail trail, well, it is actually the rail trail, though it's not going to be called that, it's called the Boston Trail, which currently is kind of in a sort of strange state because the neighbors tend to use it as their own little thing, but it will have areas that will be very much accessible to pedestrians, to the public, and will be a perfect spot for the kind of gardens that Mike is describing. Some of which, by the way, on the rail trail are really quite wacky.
Yeah, but that's kind of a fun thing going on over there
Yes,
too, right?
absolutely.
They're all their own little different little worlds that have been created by different
Anyway,
groups.
so
Yeah, good ideas.
Yeah.
can we can we count on seeing, if not you, some of your colleagues on the
Well,
20th? do you
probably
think?
I'm the one that will probably come, but I'll try to rope in a few others. But I will say though that this group, I mean, was primarily from Byfield originally,
Mhm.
because the Lund sisters had really encouraged all these different garden groups, and from a long time ago, Wilhelmina
Right.
Lund, do you guys know who she was? She's a big Newberry person that you'll run across. But anyway, so these gals set up this Newberry Garden Club a long time ago. And it was primarily in Byfield. And the other thing is, the other women that are in the group have working farms. So, family farms, so, not as big as, is it Crosby? Is it Crosby? Is that the name?
Colby?
Colby, yeah. I was like, I'm having a
Crosby's in
name.
Georgetown, but that's
Yeah, so, anyway.
Well, hopefully this gave you some ideas, and if you guys get together next week and you come up with an idea and you don't need any more ideas from us, definitely let us know as well. But if it is something you haven't selected your idea, and
I think it's gonna take us a while, but thank you so much for your time. You
And
have things to
you
do.
should realize that Sadie is our contact person. You've told her who you are, what you do, have
Yes.
you already? Okay, so if you have further questions, she's the person, her email is active, et cetera, et cetera. It's not that we're not going to respond to you, but that's the guaranteed way if you have questions or something you want to tell us or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay?
okay,
Yeah.
great.
Great.
Well, good, thank you for your time and your ideas, and,
Well,
I guess
thank
we'll
you
be in
for
touch.
coming.
And I'll try to recruit some people for the 20th of May.
Yes, that would be great, thank you.
yeah.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
hope I'm not gonna be recorded as I walk out. You
Just-
want me
just
to
wait.
go,
I
right?
can't pause it. I mean, you don't have to.
I'll give you this
Thank
little
you so
packet
much.
to take.
Thank you.
Okay, I will do that, and we'll be in touch. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I like it, remember we had the equestrian person in
Oh, yeah.
2 months ago or whatever. So
Yeah.
there's all these little things.
Well, that's interesting because
Yeah.
that's a group that had not surfaced in all of our discussion. They
Yeah.
find everywhere. And so for them to take the initiative, I think, is indicative of two things. One is there are other constituencies out there that we, may be surprised by, and that a group like that actually has a lot more reach than you might think,
Yeah.
because they've all been here a long time,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And so terrific.
Yeah, it's well done.
And that's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great,
It's
which
great.
means we're getting some more visibility.
definitely.
Okay, so we should move on, and can I have someone propose to approve the minutes, please, from 4/22? Yes, yes.
Make a motion to approve this.
Yeah, and a second, and everybody in favor? Right, thank you, great. Okay. So, I don't know whether did you actually add the website to the agenda?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's on there, I mean.
Okay,
yeah.
because I don't remember what,
Yeah, public
yeah.
meeting planning. I think now
Yeah.
it's the public meeting planning.
Yeah, I put the website discussion, after talking about the public meetings, just because I want to get that,
Whether we need to briefly have the website discussion before, because I have a feeling that the meeting is going to take up considerable time, and I don't want to not give enough attention to the website, not in terms of what's going to be on it, but frankly in terms of the fact that, well, this is sort of fairly typical Newbury, isn't it? In that we're redesigning the website. Tell us what you want. That's exactly not the way to go about things, it seems to me. And so what I sent to both Sadie and to Kristen was the fact that we need to know what the platform's going to be and what its capabilities are and what, essentially what other sites, other town sites look like this. Because what I understand is that why we're doing this is twofold. One is because the support for the current one is about to expire. It's one of those classic announcements which, you get from time to time. Dear Fred, we no longer will be supporting you or whatever. And the other reason is because there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the website. I don't know, well, we were all at town meeting. I don't know whether you noticed that, and I only say this because it happened at town meeting, that when I mentioned the website in my concern about how they were going to use that money from the PEG, whatever it is, the PEG fund, there was applause in the room because the website is a real problem, and I think it's a real problem in relation to what they're about to do, because currently the website has been changed minimally as far as I can see. I don't know what is...
The entire website, all the sections?
Well, yeah, but our section I'm talking about, the entire website they haven't touched.
Right. We know it started a little bit with Chris
Right.
last summer, and then I think.
But for example, a great deal, 2/3 of the physical space on the site is taking up with listing all the people we're supposed to cooperate with and a bunch of other things, all of which, frankly, is of absolutely zero interest to the public, and you don't have to have it on the website. Whereas there are, other things that we might want to have on that space. And I don't know, what is your feeling and experience about the current site as a tool for where we're going in the next 2 weeks?
I talked to John and he said, didn't give me a very, wasn't super helpful, but he was like, basically anything that we wanted to do, we can make it do, like connect to social media or, do like news updates, which it already does. But, I picture just like transitioning to the new site with all the information that we already have on there, and then we can kind of, me and Kristen can explore its capabilities, and then, brainstorm, like once we know more about what the website is going to do. But that he said like in the next 3 to 6 months it should be, transferred to the new system.
Okay.
So, it might be a little premature to brainstorm about what exactly, like the content we want to put on there.
I think,
Go ahead.
yeah, my experience with working on a lot of websites is that there should be at least some consistent gathering amongst all the different groups that are on the website.
Yeah.
We should be able to present our requirements, our needs, what the gaps are.
And then they should be able to.
Well, so, if he's saying sit down, is it to just have an informal conversation, or is it to actually, talk about what future needs are?
Yeah, that's
and
true.
things like that?
If we have like, I don't really know much about website design, but if people have ideas, I can definitely bring them to
Yeah.
him. If there are gaps in the capabilities that we are like really want to see its capabilities.
Is there a template, for example, for other committees and boards and what have you? Is there something we have to conform to already?
Right. I think.
Or something we can modify to suit our needs, say?
Yeah.
We want to make, if we're thinking about like future goals, right? We want to make it engaging, we want to make it usable, very easy to navigate,
Exactly.
make it come alive, and
Well,
have a
right.
lot of
Well, we don't want it to be
photos.
foreign either. Like as though you
Right.
just click this button and you ended up no longer associated with Newbury.
Exactly,
That's
right.
another-
We talked briefly
Yeah.
a while ago about that.
And I think this is one of those areas, I think, where there's so many variables
Right.
that I think it's worth considering maybe forming a smaller committee to sort of hash some stuff out and then bring to the committee and
Mhm.
run it by us and sort of move incrementally in that way rather than
Yeah.
because, and also it's a fairly substantial project, I think, if you do want to make changes to it. So,
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, were we thinking that we needed to rely on the website for anything related to the public meeting that's in 2 weeks?
Well, okay, what I'm thinking, okay, if right now,
I see, so we're talking about that.
you,
So real short term.
go
Yeah, do we
to,
need to do anything right now? Or can we like do this after the meeting, you know?
well, I think there are two issues. I think there's the right now issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me turn it around that way. All right, so here's the top of it, okay? That is currently relevant. All of this, with the exception of our names, of course, is irrelevant right now to what we're doing, okay? That doesn't catch anyone's attention. The type sizes are all, there's nothing on there which in any way works like the rest of the world which people have on their phones and their computers. This is like getting a funeral announcement to me. You know, what I think we should be able to do is to, in the next few days, totally recast this so it's totally directed at the public meeting with some very basic information about how to get in touch with us. That's my feeling.
Given
And it shouldn't be
Yeah.
a major task to get it put on there. The issue with this damn site is getting stuff onto it, okay? And apparently, because there's a limit to what you're able to do, and that has nothing to do with your technical skills, but there's a limit to what you're allowed to do, and only John or the previous IT guy could do anything. And so this is what we end up with. This has been here for years. It's ridiculous.
I have access to like editing that whole midsection if we want to just like, I mean, I think it's kind of good first, if someone is clicking on this, they got this, they've never heard of the Open Space Committee, it's nice to, like, they see the survey, they see the public
Right.
meeting, but then they're like, what is this about? And then it kind of explains like what we do. I would like it if there was like an about tab or something, like about the Open Space Committee, and then it would give that a general, like, you know,
Right.
orange spiel, but it is kind of annoying to have it like lumped in with all of the really relevant announcements, like the timely stuff. But
I mean, we could move the contact people up to the top and have the other ones
Yeah.
at the bottom, just like a quick shift. So at least
Yeah.
that one thing is the contact people are up at the top. You know, right after like the
Yeah.
survey.
I mean, the contact info is at the top. It's,
Oh yeah, you
but
click
it,
on that, view contact info.
So I think the way it's set up now is the way it's set up for all the different committees, pretty much.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I don't know if there'd be, I'm guessing there'd probably be a little bit of pushback on changing that sort
We
of.
could announce during the public meeting that we're gonna be updating the Open Space Committee website here in the next few months. It could be like,
Yeah.
you know, we're working on this plan,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be updating the website, and so we just sort of tee it up that we're gonna be working on it this year. It's something the Open Space Committee is gonna be working on. I guess I'm not feeling like anything needs to be changed imminently for this meeting, because I feel like people are gonna come to the meeting and the meeting sort of stands on its own. The only thing I could think of is that we were trying to get a link to the walking maps, and maybe that's still there, as long as that was still there, you know, that was the only thing, but even that, I feel like is not as urgent for.
It's pretty confusing how this thing works, actually. So,
Yeah.
I mean, actually, if you go from the beginning of the website, and you get that click down menu, there's like a little sub-menu with, you don't know whether you're supposed to click any of
Yeah.
that stuff, or where it ends up, and then you end up on a page that doesn't seem to have anything to do with what you just looked at. So, I mean, in terms of design, so to speak, and I don't want to get into this too much, but the idea is those things, you know, are going to take a fair amount of time, and there are going to be other people who will want input on it. But as far as the text or what we want to focus on at the top of that page, I think we can put pretty much anything there. And if it's something we can change quickly, why not? We put what we need to focus on now.
Yeah, just the link to the survey and then the information about the meeting.
Yeah,
At least
like
That seems
it's,
adequate
yeah.
before, I would,
it's,
you know.
there is contact, oh boy, there is contact info. Oh my god. Right there, it drops down and then we have like all the relevant stuff right there.
Okay.
If anyone has changes that they want to make, let me know. 'Cause
I would think,
I can edit this text, but,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Like, as importantly, once the meeting happens and there's awareness, like this dedicated page to the plan itself, right,
Yeah.
becomes a little more alive, or there are other pages
Totally.
to support it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's more, maybe it's not the next 2 weeks, but something that can
And add it
happen.
to our
I
list.
think, Sean, the idea of a group, subgroup, because Kristen was talking about that, right? Like,
Yeah,
let's start
for future work.
doing
We're
more.
going
work.
in the direction.
Okay. Most of the information which is sort of standard in terms of, well, it's like a bus schedule in a sense, in that, you know, you need to be able to find some of the basics. All of that can be shifted to the bottom. To say the Open Space Committee is ramping up is somewhat sort of out of date. And what is ramping up to what? I mean, you know, among other things. Okay, the contact information. All right, so if you hit that, that's
We can
fine.
delete that right there.
But it talks about getting the survey, and it doesn't talk about why.
Where is it? The survey, like it says click here to take the survey and it doesn't say why?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, okay, well, it starts off,
Well, I said, tell
wants
us
to
how you
hear,
feel about open space in
we
Newbury.
want to hear from you. Why do we want to hear from you? You see
I
what
didn't
I'm
want to
saying?
be too wordy, I just wanted people to like see there's a survey and they'll be like, oh, they want our feedback. Click here.
Um,
So you want to add a statement that says because we're updating the open space and recreation plan?
yeah, I mean,
Can you slip that in there?
you know, why would I care to send you what I think about or to do a survey? Because there's no reason for it, except you want me to do it.
I was wondering if there should be a closing date.
Yeah.
Like at what point
Well,
are we going to close it so people feel
that's
the
the other
urgency to
thing.
do it?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's open, it's live.
It's open
Until-
till June
okay.
30th or so.
So, one of the questions I would have at this point, Sadie, is
Yeah.
you're the person with the access to the surveys. What are you finding? What's going on?
There is, I think there's 40 responses so far, which is cool.
Yeah, that's good.
There was someone who emailed me and Kristen who was very upset that we were trying to add a CPA to Newbury, which I was like,
Right. You
Sorry.
gave him my name and said, call him.
I did if you want me to.
Yeah. Okay, well, so you're getting stuff, and did it, I don't know whether you couldn't do it by date or sense or feel, did it peak a bit sort of within 2 or 3 days of the
Yeah, I
of
checked.
the town meeting?
I checked the night after the town,
Yeah.
like the same night of the town meeting,
Yeah.
and there were like 20 something responses, and then I checked like a couple days later, and there were these 38. So I think people had the slips, took them over the
Yeah,
next
right.
day.
10%, we gave out 200 slips, we
Yeah.
got 20 people, 10% participation so
Good,
far.
Right.
great, I'd say.
Right,
Okay.
okay. So that connects with how are we doing on places that have these kind of materials and so on?
Yeah, that was something I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about.
Can I just, before we move on,
Yeah.
real quick, is there a way that we can, like, just basically use a copy of that on the website so that it looks exactly like that kind of thing?
I think I can put like a photo, like a document,
Yeah, even a photo, icon, whatever.
just so people have that association of
Yeah.
seeing
Right,
this
right.
and then being like,
Yeah.
okay,
Because
that's a good
plus
idea.
that kind of stands out and it does explain everything, so.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
One last website comment.
Yeah.
I made those changes to the map, I sent the new map out.
Mhm.
Can we swap out the 2008-9 map that's on the website
Yes.
with
Yeah.
the latest version that I've sent? I mean, as a part-time cartographer, I'm gonna wanna continue to tweak that map. But, I think it's in pretty good shape. I just need to keep extending the Parker River a little further, but,
Well, okay.
it just has more up-to-date information than the old one, so.
What I was gonna suggest is the sort of thing you could do to make this, I think, sort of come alive a bit more, is to put the map on the landing part of the website, okay? And briefly just talk about the fact that this is the kind of work we're doing. I think you need to give people a real kind of, thing that they can have in their hand, as it were, as to what we're doing. And also it will have color, it will be different. I don't know whether how far you can go down into the site in terms of the Newbury Open Space Trails and Properties, which is one of the links on the left. And that has the old map in it.
Yeah, that's the one that I clicked on. so-
That one
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
here, is that what you mean? or-
Yeah, I was thinking that, replacing that one, but, yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
Even that map right there?
Yeah.
Yes, whether we
With the
could
one you just
sub
sent
yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
That it is for that, okay? I just think a few tweaks like that would make it alive as opposed to,
definitely.
Yeah, and even for now,
dead.
you could put on the link on the left, just put with new map, add to the text.
Right.
So just, yeah.
I can play around, see if, I think they have it at the bottom,
Okay,
and you can make it bigger,
yeah.
Yeah.
But having that little image embedded there
yeah.
is nice, because Mike's map will be in color, and so having a little picture of it, if there's a
Yeah.
way to like click here and then you get to the link, as opposed to having to go back down to the bottom to find
Yeah.
the link, add the link.
I'm sure you can
underneath
link an image.
there. Yeah, right underneath there,
Yeah.
click here for this.
Yeah, that's
Try
true.
to do this. If not, the actual map.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you had another point you wanted to make about it.
Well, and as you think of it,
No, I was thinking about.
Right.
Well, anyways.
All right, so we got 3
Okay.
things at least that we want to update the website for in the next couple of weeks before the meeting. Okay.
okay.
So that's, fixing this map, changing it to the new one, making it clickable,
Add a picture of the QR code
the flyer,
Yeah.
and then add like a closing date, and like you were saying, since it's about like trying to get people excited about why to take the survey, like telling them the reason.
Right, yeah.
And is that all that everyone?
Yeah,
Wanted
except
for
what did we
now?
want? I feel like we have to decide on what the closing date is.
That's true.
So,
See
how
what-
long do we want to be gathering up this info? I feel like 2 more months, like this month and next month. It feels like by the 4th of July or something, or by the end
Yeah.
of June.
We should give some time after the public meeting, let it stay out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like another month.
I think that makes sense.
So, exactly, if I agree that July has this, 4th of July doesn't have this weird sort of thing here, doesn't it? I've had to learn that in the last 50-something years, that a whole lot of things stop and a whole lot of things that are other start. So I think you'd be right. And the other thing is, that's the sort of thing you need to have here on the website, is to say, don't delay, don't dawdle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We almost might want to, well, if we printed out, looks like you printed out a lot of them, but if we print out any more of the slips of paper or whatnot, we might want to add it on there before the 4th of July or something.
That's
And the other thing, and I will say this, and I'll probably get my knuckles wrapped for it, but I'll say it anyway. Anybody who tells you that all the rest of the dribble underneath at the bottom about all the cooperation things has to be there, it doesn't.
Do you want to just take it out for now while we're doing our revamp?
Sure.
Well,
What do
the
you
thing is, frankly, Christina, it's an embarrassment, because the reality is we don't have links with any of those people because currently they're not on play.
Okay, well, we could take it out. Why don't we take it out?
Okay.
And I'm just gonna,
Talk to Kristen.
yeah, I mean,
It doesn't,
these are all subsections, right, from
Yeah.
our homepage. So
So the
ideally,
landing
they really should be
Yeah.
sub-navigation links right here.
They should be on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can indent them so that
Right.
it's about
Yeah,
what our mission
because
is.
we can have-
But that's getting
Yeah.
into the longer
Yeah.
term stuff that
Yeah.
I wouldn't do too much if there is a new website in 3-6 months sounds aggressive, but down the road, what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a limited return,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
we don't want you to sacrifice yourself on this one if we're having a new one. But to return to that, what I am going to press for, and I hope that you may all think of supporting this, and that is, there should be a committee, not in relation to us, but in relation to the website. Because the website is supposed to serve the town, not the town government. And so, I don't know how we bring that about, but what will happen is, if there isn't pressure to do that, then it will almost certainly come up that it'll be basically serving the purposes of the town government. I can understand that if I were working in the town government, but, I just think that, I was to put out a request for what you want on the new website. Immediately the alarm bells went off in my head, saying, woo, we're going to be told what the website looks like, and it'll be based on economics and all the rest of it, and that's not what should happen. Okay, anything else?
There's actually a get involved button down here already. So do you want to just put all that stuff on the get involved?
Wait, sorry.
So, we did, I think what we're saying is we're gonna try to eliminate all that verbiage there.
Yeah,
But it's already a button here that says get involved.
okay.
Maybe just move it.
Yeah, there is.
I'm worried that if people go to the open space committee and don't see it here, they might not make it to this section.
Oh,
I don't know, what is even on here?
I mean, it isn't designed very well, I will say, but,
Maybe we could put this
Well,
on the
okay,
front
you see,
page.
you're looking on your phone,
Yeah.
you're
I
looking,
know, which does look different, yeah.
yeah, it's off to the left, to
Yeah.
get involved.
Yeah, maybe we could make this,
It's the second one.
put it on the main,
landing page.
landing page, so that people see it and don't have to, I just feel like the more clicks, the less likely they're gonna get to where we want them to go.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, I guess what I was.
But I didn't,
looking for
I
is-
never even noticed that was, that's a good
It
idea
is easy, yes, yeah.
to put on the landing page.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Can I, at the risk of
Oh, no, go ahead.
making it sound like a detour, because I don't want to do that, but, so, in the next 2 weeks, we've got the flyers, the cards, the announcement happened at the meeting, we've got the updates to the website. One thing that the newspaper, the Daily News, getting a blurb in there. That should happen very soon. Dave Rogers said that we can just send him an email with as much or as little as we want to do. I had taken that as an action item
Yeah.
to get in touch, and, you know, so he's ready to go, he's just waiting.
Okay.
So, do you want me to draft something or reuse some existing
Yeah.
text?
I've just been, in
Okay.
everywhere I've been putting it, I've just been saying,
Yeah.
like, this little blurb to catch people's attention,
Yep.
the 3 ways to access it, and then like,
Yep.
this sentence word for word, and then the info about the public music. If you wanna just send that?
I'll just craft something, I'll send to everybody before it goes to him with the final, just for some
Yeah.
quick text. Sound good?
Sounds good, yeah,
Okay,
thanks
do
for doing
folks
that.
have a thought? It would seem like we should get it by the start of next week, if not, I don't know if we
Yeah.
can squeeze it in at the end of this week, it sounds like it needed a couple days.
Mhm.
Sounds
Yeah,
good?
that'd be great.
Okay,
That sounds good.
and make clear that it's for
Yeah.
town residents, not the
Right.
greater
Yes.
Newburyport area.
Right.
No, it's something you're volunteering to do.
I volunteered, I think I
Great.
got included in an email update about it a while
Right.
ago, but
Yep, that'd be
And it
awesome.
would seem to me the other thing is to try and coax him into getting back to you to learn more, because then we could feed him more stuff,
he sounded like,
right?
yeah, I mean, do you know him, Dave? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't
And
know.
well, I also
Yeah.
simply know the economics of local newspapers. And right now,
Sure.
anything that's free and timely and has an interest level that they recognize, they welcome it. And they'll find space for it because
Yeah,
they
it
just,
fills that.
you know.
It might not be front page, but it'll
Yeah.
fill that second
Right.
page.
So you're sending a press release? Is that what you call it?
You can call it a press release or an announcement.
Okay,
They have the sort of sub-area called local news.
right.
So it falls under that, it's usually like page 2 if you get the paper copy.
And isn't there a community calendar as well? So I was thinking,
Yeah,
just remind them to put it in both things.
If there is a-
The calendar
yeah,
hangs around, whereas your press release.
yeah.
If we could tie, let's face it, if we could tie,
Yeah.
open space to girls under 13 soccer, we'd get in there for sure. I mean, that's the reality of the newspaper, it always has
But
been.
he sounded very open to whatever we wanted. So
Oh, also, I'm assuming there's paper and electronic versions of it.
there are,
Yeah,
the digital.
I would tell him, like, make sure that our link, all the
It's
links
a hot
are
link.
active
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
electronic, and then maybe
Yep.
include the QR code in the paper
Yeah.
version.
Yep.
So that people can scan.
Yeah.
I guess since we're on that topic, should we talk about the other media that we had listed off? Like the Council on Aging, we were gonna get in their newsletter, we had missed like the last deadline, but we were gonna make the.
I think we got our,
Yeah.
like, survey coming soon announcement in there, but yeah, we can add,
The meeting then,
yeah.
okay. So
Okay.
we set that one, Sadie,
Yes.
and then the town announcement on the website, is this news and announcements, is it enough that we are able to get news and announcements, can we get it on there?
Yeah, that's been on my, to-do list, but it's like a complicated process, but I will get, like, as soon as Christine gets back and work with her on that. And, I also talked to John about, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts on all the town's social media. I can take the lead on drafting verbiage, and I found some pictures of Newbury, like, just in the, on the server, that I think would be nice for, like, Instagram. So I can just draft some, I can send it out to you all, just for final go, and then get it posted.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, cool.
Currently, well, just trying to think, do we know how those things work, or we just have a link from Facebook to the website, or is it a active thing? In other words, is, you know
I
what
think
I'm
we
saying?
can put a link in the post. I I don't see why not.
Right to the Google form.
Like to the Google form, and then it could also be like, find out more on our website.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Or
Okay,
another picture or something,
Yeah.
Yeah, like a picture of the flyer, yeah. Could do
right. Well, I've got, as you may have seen from what I sent out, I've got lots of stuff from pictures around the town, so if you need pictures, and I find it very interesting that a whole bunch of pictures that I gave to the town, which they took off the website, which was fine, still appear at the top of various committees. The one with the magnolias outside of Byfield and the whole thing, yeah. In fact, that's the whole banner I created, but anyway, it's interesting how things survive.
So it seems like you maybe don't even have to create too much. If you just do a snapshot of your page, then you just send those and post those. Like you don't even have to add words.
That's
That says
true.
it all,
Yeah.
just to keep it simple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Totally.
yeah.
As long as that
And you can
link,
even say,
I wanna have like a-
here's what it is, and then you could draft some.
he could maybe draft it.
Anyway, you were trying to get a letter of.
Okay,
But we should make sure that the
Okay.
link is live if that does.
Definitely,
fix
yeah.
that,
Hi.
right.
Hi.
Hi there.
Sorry, we'll wait.
Okay.
Just in time, we just started talking about the public meeting.
We have a citizen query tonight that
We
took up
did.
some time, so it was good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went to the Greek Fire Club game and talked to us about
Okay,
memorial items and things like those.
so
Yeah.
do we think we're at this point through talking about website issues and connectivity and all the rest of it?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I would think is that you need to know that if you need to reach out to any of us, knowing what we're doing in various ways, you need to do that because the time is,
Yeah.
telescoping fast. Okay, so, Christina.
Yes.
Well, I think, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk first about the agenda? Or do you want to talk about the slides? Or,
So I feel like we could talk about the agenda. I feel like the crux of what we need to talk about is like our main points, like what is going to be the main discussion topics and what do they look like? Because I sort of heard what everybody said, so I just sort of have a couple of placeholder slides in there, if you will. But honestly, all the other details, if we can agree on all of those relatively quickly, then we can spend the rest of the time talking about, okay, and what are we going to be talking about? And I also want to go out into this room just to like play it out. What is this going to look like? How is the room going to be set up? Where is Mike's mat going to be set up? Does the plotter work? So maybe we talk through some of the logistics
mm-hmm.
and then we can like tackle actually what are we talking about, and then we can find a way to put it onto the slides. What do you think?
Okay.
So maybe we start with the agenda.
Yeah, so I think the agenda is, and you have, there's an original one and then a second version, right?
Yeah, I don't
There
remember.
was one that, interestingly, didn't have a date on, but that's okay. There was one that starts off, what is the Open Space Committee, brief minutes, and then there's one that starts off first 10 minutes activity. That's the latest.
Yeah, the one that I sent out on Sunday night, just kind of like
Yeah.
absorbing what we've been talking about for the last couple of meetings. I put that together.
Is this that one?
Yeah. It's favorite here. So yeah, I just, the logistics of how it's gonna go, the mechanics. I mean, then we can talk about the meat of it. But I thought we had talked about having, maps out where people get to, have an activity where they note the places that they go to kind of get the juices flowing so that they start realizing how big this topic is and that it's not just whatever one trail that they go to every day.
Yeah.
And so do we want to just post that the agenda is like, for the first few minutes, if people show up at 7, and maybe only do it for 5 minutes, but I just thought to encourage people to do that will maybe get them level set their head.
Yeah, they're gonna trickle in also, so
Yeah,
some people are late, that those who are hanging around, these
yeah,
are busy.
right, they've got something to look at,
Yeah.
something to do,
So putting pins in their one
favorite
to
spots.
3 places that they go to, you don't want too many from one person, right?
I don't know,
Well,
I
maybe
guess
take-
I want everyone to feel like they got to show us where they go.
Yeah.
So I kind of
Some
would
sort
encourage,
of marked
yeah,
feedback.
be interesting.
Yeah.
You said you have pictures?
Well, yeah, but I was thinking push pins, but yeah, what did you have, Kristen?
Well, I sent out today.
I didn't,
over-
what do you guys, I was thinking like stickers or something,
Yeah, we can do stickers.
not a huge deal, whichever.
Can we get
It's
pictures put up
already
around
on.
this map, say, and kind of connect it to the areas themselves?
Yeah, we could, right, the various places, yes, we could do something like that. Okay, so you've got to give people pretty clear instructions, it seems to me, or, I mean, what is it we're going to ask them to do, and how are they going to do it? In other words, are we leaving them, running with scissors, right? How are they going to get pins or stickers, or how do they, if we go with this idea of doing something, and what is it going to play into?
I thought we could have like a pretty simple thing, like what is your, favorite open space area that you visit most often, and then we could have the same map, but you could say like what is the area that you think needs some, TLC or like some, improvements, so that you could have like, positive feedback, negative feedback. That was my vision.
So
Or
what
we'll just
would
have one or
you-
the other. Similar to what we already asked in the survey,
Yeah,
so
okay,
maybe we
so-
could ask something else, but I don't know what you would ask.
And so how are we going to do it? With stickers, with what?
Yeah, we could have like a little, pile of stickers right there. We could just like have someone stand there and be like, here, take 2 stickers, put one here.
Like
on
the
this map.
ones that they put on your stuff in Duluth when you're leaving?
That is actually what I was picturing in my brain.
Right.
Like red and green.
Yeah.
Or we could have, thumbtacks or like a sticky note situation, so that we could, take them off later, use them for another activity. I don't know.
I like the sticker idea, and I think they should be small stickers.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we have different colors, we could have like, tell us where your favorite spot is. Tell us where you might be some work needs, and then tell us all the other spots that you go to. So maybe we could have 3 different colors.
Yeah.
And we could have, 1 map
Yeah.
instead of 2 maps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could do simply the signal range, which is, green, yellow, and red. And green is the good place, the place you love. Yellow is the place that you like to have more love for, and red is the place you hate because you're so parking or whatever. Then it seems to me subsequent conversations can explore
Yeah.
what those mean, because interestingly what's going to happen is people are going to have a very different reason for the red sticker,
Yeah.
right? And that's the kind of information we're interested in, isn't it?
Yeah, I've gone to a lot of ACES programs, and they do a lot of like they'll come together with the presentation. They'll give some sort of informational speech or whatever, and then they'll have like a question, and they'll be like, talk amongst yourselves, like a 4th grade
Yeah.
classroom, like talk with the people at your table about what you what your red sticker was referring to about like talk about the space you put it on and like why you put it there. And then you can just get some discussion going about what you don't like about open space and like what you like. Hear what other people have to say, things like that. And then you can have like, come together again, have a spokesperson from each table be like, this is what, summarize what they talked about at each table. I think that works pretty well to get some ideas flowing in amongst the group and not just us like talking at the group the whole time. So that, I think, yeah, that was part of the vision.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think similar in some of the stuff that same thing. There's like a 10-minute, 15, whatever spiel, introduction, and then either it's breakout groups, like, you know, and however you want to break it up, whatever you want to identify with, or if you just want to break up the room in tables, and then maybe have each one of the committee at each table, so we can listen as the discussion, guide discussion a little bit, take notes, and whether we're the ones that represent the table, or if somebody else like Tim wants to represent them. So that's fine.
Yeah.
But just so that we're hearing it and taking notes and getting information out of each table.
I think the idea of sticking with the green, yellow, red, or something like that would be good in the sense that they've come in, most people have been, you know, participated in that, and then they're going to go sit down and they can elaborate, share with each other. I don't know if that, maybe the green you don't necessarily have to do, but it might be a good way to start a small group conversation, just to say, what do you find attractive, or, you know, what clicks with you around these places, and then you can get into the, well, I would go here, but I have some concerns, and I never go here, or because I wasn't aware of it, it has poison ivy, it doesn't have parking, or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
That was one of my reds.
Poison ivy, yeah.
or ticks, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ticks or things, yeah.
And,
But maybe just keeping that.
okay, so we have people do the activity in the beginning, put their stickers on, and then they sit down, and then we go through this spiel, and then, like, I mean, could that be the only breakout that we do? Because I think that if you put people in a breakout and ask them to talk about open space and their favorite spots and why their some spots are red, they could probably talk about that. What each person could probably spend 10 minutes, and so I feel like we're gonna run out of time really quickly.
Right.
That's
So I feel like that could be the only thing that we talk about, which maybe is okay,
Yeah.
you know, as opposed to the other things that we were talking about, potentially talking about.
Yeah, and then we could use, you know, the rest of the time to be like, okay, we're hearing your feedback, it's all getting recorded somehow, and, you know, this is part of our process to, you know, putting all these concerns into our action plan, and then talk about like future after that breakout session.
Well, you see, now it's interesting, we've almost moved from 1 to 5 on your original list. In other words, we're into community dialogue. Okay? One of the things that struck me about sort of this is that I don't think this is a public meeting, it's not as I see it, giving out lots of information session. It's a listening session, it's a workshop session. And so, I don't think we need to think about selling the Open Space Committee and the Open Space Plan, except where it may be necessary, and one can do that sort of on the fly anyway, to justify our existence, as it were, to say sort of, well, we're doing all this because. And I would also stay very much away from the state. Frankly, I think it should be, we're the people, we're residents here, we have the concerns, and we want to share our concerns, and most particularly we want to share yours. And if people ask, well, you know, what's the urgency of that sort of question, then you can say, okay, the urgency is very simple, okay? that we have no open space plan currently, and so therefore we can't go to the state and bid for any funds at all.
So do we not even want to go through, I mean, I had modified this a little bit based on the new DCR guidance, but do we not even want to go through, I haven't really done an inventory to know what it looks like. You know, the previous version, we had goals and priorities, and maybe we just don't even talk about the goals and priorities. Just if you're saying like, let's keep our talking brief so we have more time for listening, then maybe we just say, the last one was in 2010. But I do feel a little bit like we at least need to have a cheat sheet for all of us that we know, well, what did the last one say? You know, in terms of goals and priorities, because people might ask us that question.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
But we don't make it part of the presentation, we just say the last one was dated 2010, now we're trying to update it. We just glaze right over it to focus on, we're doing one now. And we could just have a brief, like, and these are the benefits, and this is a listening session.
Also think, like, I want them to feel like empowered a little bit. I want them to be like, they want to make a difference, they want to be heard, they want to get their point across, and not just be like, we're just the group talking about open space. I want them to feel like by contributing, they are contributing to the plan. They can be a part of the plan. So I just, I just like to get that message out, and we don't have to go into depth, like, like you were saying about the state and all that. But I just want them to feel like I showed up, I made the effort to come here and skip dinner or whatever. But I want to make sure that what I'm saying is going to be useful.
So that raises the thing about follow-up, right? In other words, let's think we've had the meeting, and we've got information, we've got reactions, we've got now some contacts, maybe also we make some contacts with perhaps an individual person or two. I mean, like tonight, nobody knew that was going to happen. You weren't here earlier. We had the lady from the garden club come, and we had a very fascinating, Christina can share it with you later, conversation that led to a lot of other things other than garden clubs, interestingly. But I think anyone coming to the meeting needs to know that there's something going to happen as a result other than the plan. Right? And that may be that we will be coming back to them later with the plan or parts of it to be reviewed, or that there will be other opportunities to be involved much more directly. Because one of the things I found in my own notes was I would hope that out of this open space committee comes one that continues and one that involves people who volunteer to do things, not just to come and do what we're doing, but to get out there with a shuttle or a bulletin board or whatever it may be, because that's the way communities have strong, open space stuff going on. And that should, I think, be a goal or part of this. At this point, it's way down the pike, I agree, but at the same time, I think we need to bear that in mind. And I've been to a number of those kinds of meetings that I think I hear Sadie having been to, particularly in relation to stuff that was going on in Newburyport years ago. And it was so bad because they had a lot of people turn up, spend a lot of time, they got a lot of information, and there was absolutely zero follow-up. It was very, very bad in that sense, because a lot of people who were quite enthusiastic just kind of dropped away. Well, they don't care. I had a nice evening, I met this nice man, but that's it.
Okay, I've got a question here. I mean, the 2010, right, it's a highly structured document. It's like it was done specifically to meet a set of criteria laid down by the state. And I think that's probably something that people who show up at this meeting are going to care less about. I mean, really, they know we've got to do something, but they don't really care what it is. It's 168 pages long, by the way. I'm pretty sure nobody's read it in town, except maybe some people at this table. It's got some very interesting stuff in it, but the question is, two questions I have is, first one is, I had understood that there's some flexibility allowed now, that we can change some of this format around so that it's less formalized and maybe a little more accessible to people. And the other thing is, well, I guess it's the same thing, really. Changing or including people's input directly into this document as making it a living document. In other words, yeah, we're going to submit this to the state, but it's because you told us to do this. You told us to do it. We wanted to. This is what we want to accomplish out of this. It's not just to get another $500,000 to go in our town budget. It's to actually get out there and get people working along these trails and meadows and what have you. So, with that in mind, I love the idea of these breakout sessions and really thinking that's what we're going to focus on, is gathering that information and establishing that somehow their contact, and we're doing that to some degree with the survey. So people are clicking that link, they're going to the survey, they're providing us with input. They are telling us whether or not they want to follow up by giving us their email, that sort of thing. If they show up to this meeting, it's another indication that there's some interest there. So again, it's like these are the people we're going to end up focusing on, not because they're the only people in town, but because they're the ones that are showing the interest. And that we didn't sort of. So I guess what I'm saying is, it seems to me, bottom line, we could probably cut up the size of that document to something much smaller and circle down there.
The version that Christina found, that new version this year, their biggest thing, I went to the session where they were talking about it, and they were basically saying, you don't have to make a 168-page document, we want just a 1-page description for each section. So it'll be, much more accessible, I think, in the end than the last versions.
Would it be possible for you to print out a version of the 2010 one so we have it on site during the meeting so people can see
yes.
what it was?
Good
You
idea.
can almost, not make a joke of it, but,
Yeah, it was this big,
This
we're
is
gonna do it
this.
this big.
This is bureaucratic.
Some
This
really
is
cool
whatever.
information in there.
Yeah, there is, I
But
think.
we're not going to burden you, and the point here is the empowerment,
Yeah.
it's the engagement, it's the summary,
But
one-pager,
it should be in an appendix or a separate
Exactly.
document.
and that
Those
would
are
be
really
cool.
good talking points for us to all have, that what you're saying is something that we need to
Well, I
say
suppose,
to people.
one of the things that could come out of this meeting is somebody who's really into biology and wants to add, 25 more species to the whole list of species that we have. And that's great. Or take a couple off that, are no longer, that common or whatever. That could certainly happen. No offense, I doubt it's going to happen, but it could. I think people are probably more interested in where am I going to be able to play soccer, are there going to be, can I get water at the field, where am I going to park, is the dog allowed, that kind of thing. And I think if we can address that, then I think we're really hitting the real need for this report, at least.
Yeah.
So do we want to pare down then, what is the run of show here? So we're going to have people do an exercise the first 10 minutes, and we're going to say, and we're going to be breaking up into groups after our little spiel in the beginning to talk about, what people just put on these maps, so maybe we'll need more maps. So do we want our spiel to include items 2, 3, and then we pare down 4 to also just be a minute or 2?
You have 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and 5 to 7, so if 2, 3, and 4 are 10 minutes total, it's a welcome, it's a hello, it's maybe just more casual, just referencing what's on the slides, but not drilling down, like you said, in 4 too much. I
Yeah.
think
Maybe we just.
that
go one
overview
for-
and welcome and, reference to David, he said at the town meeting and we're gonna keep this short, right? Setting expectations that I'm just gonna spend 10 minutes saying hello, welcoming you, going through some stuff about who we are, the plan and the committee, and then breaking up in groups, and that will be an exercise, and then we'll gather back and summarize and be done.
So just as a suggestion for the flow, I mean, maybe we're already, maybe a better answer. When some people come through the door here, maybe hand them those stickers and send them right over to the map and say, put these up on the map, red, green, yellow, wherever you want.
I think that's a good idea, like as they're walking in, like,
Yeah.
here, put your sticker on the map and then go find the
Once
seat.
everybody said.
Yeah, that's the incentive number one. That's the
Yes.
incentive, like, having that happen as they walk in, we greet them and we do that, and that's gonna go on for like minutes, yep.
Once they've settled down a little bit, then we can give them the opening spiel, who we are, what we're doing, all that stuff. And then grab that thing and then, and start asking them questions. I see there's a lot of reds over here on the public beach. What's going on with that? Anyone want to talk to us about that? Anyone want to raise their hand
Yeah.
and say something? That kind of thing. Or,
Is that still gonna be part of the, breakout group talking about why?
yeah, I'm trying to think if, it's a logical progression, how to get people into those groups. Because I'm thinking, the way I attend meetings is I do what I have to do and then I get out of there as quickly as possible. So, this would be engaging people further. And then, so we've got to kind of catch them for the, in a sense. I'm not trying to catch them, but the point is, we want their input, so let's grab it.
Okay.
We could, I suppose, have like maybe a couple of, we talked about having different tables where we talk about different things, like one would be explain why you put this up on the map, or another one might be what's missing in town. I kind of like that idea. Do you want a dog park? Do you want
Like
What do
different
we-
tables
what
for
do you
different
want to say?
topics, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, just as a general rule, what would you like to see in town that isn't here already? Because obviously you can't put a sticker on something that isn't here, so.
Maybe we could have like 2 stickers, like a red and a green. Red is what you don't like, green is what you like. You put the 2 stickers and then you sit down, we have our little spiel, and then we're like, all right, now talk with your people about, or talk with your table about why you placed the red sticker, why you placed the green sticker, and then something that wasn't on the map that you would like to see. And then we come together, have someone stand up from each table, summarize what everyone was saying about each red, green, missing, items. And then we could definitely have some sort of scribe at each table, recording everything that's being said at, during the breakout session. And then we can, that would be our, our meat from the meeting to go forward with.
How do you connect, okay, so you have them do the activity. How do you connect that experience clearly to the breakout groups or whatever if you've had an interregnum of stuff about the committee and the plan and all the rest of it?
Yeah, we could give our little spiel, and then we could be like, the point of this meeting is, we have the survey, but we want to have a space for more detailed dialogue, give more, qualitative answers to these questions that we have. Now we'll have all of you talk with your table about what you like and don't like about open space in Newbury, what you would like to see brought into the town. You just say this is the point of the meeting, now we would like you to all discuss and give us your feedback. Is that enough of a link, do you think, or is it going to be too disjointed if we have them do the stickers and then do the introduction to the OSC and then have the activity?
Well, I'm wondering, okay, so here I come to this meeting and I stick a couple of stickers here and there, and then they tell me about the open space plan and then to do it, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm invited to go off to a group and talk about whatever, and I'm thinking, so what happened to the sticker I put on the map?
It's getting, maybe they forget like what they put on there or something, is that what you mean? It's a little
Well, what I'm
disjointed.
saying is, how do we connect that activity and what it has begun to tell us to what we're now asking them to do? Because, come on,
We would use those maps, so people come in, they put their stickers on the maps, and I almost feel like we don't know how many people are coming, so
Right.
it's hard to plan.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe we have 2 maps and just go to each one, whichever one you want to. And then if you have a breakout group, then we're gonna go talk about the maps, and people are gonna tell us.
What you-
Those maps for the stickers is the topic of the breakout group.
What did you
But
put green,
one
what
of-
did you put
okay.
red, and why?
Yeah, and why?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just what I wrote out
Right.
here. What
so,
did you put as green and why, what did you put red as why, and what was your wish list for open space and recreation?
Wish list.
There were 3 questions in the breakout groups using the data they gave us when they walked in.
Keep it simple.
yeah, but, okay, but, so, you got the maps, think about how you're gonna form the groups.
I think we could
Depends,
just
I mean, if you
have
have
people
3 people,
in
it's
a
gonna be kind of ridiculous
Right,
anyway.
right.
But,
It's hard to plan.
well, we would then have to rush off and put lots of stickers on the maps. What we'll need to be prepared to do is to be a participant, by the way.
Yeah, we should, I feel like we
To
should.
swell the
absolutely.
numbers if necessary. No, what I'm trying to get at is you ask people to do a task. In a way, it's a task, okay? And they're not, unless it's one big group, how do we, either we divide them up or how they self-divide up?
Oh, that's easy, I mean, it depends on how the group looks, and we're like, okay, you people go over there, and you people go over there.
Or do you count off 1, 2, 3?
Well,
Yeah.
Just so family members aren't necessarily.
I think there could be only 5 people there, so it's easy that we just talk as one big group.
And I didn't want to be the pessimist in the room, so I didn't say that, but I was thinking that, I was like, we need a plan B, if like 5 people show up,
That's true.
then we're like, okay, then it's just one map. But if they come in and we have multiple maps in each table, like your map 1, your map 2, your map 3, go to your things, everybody else comes in that does that, and then when the breakout group is, all right, go sit with your map. So now you're sitting with a group of people that all work, and then you can all talk about your dots there, and all your dots there, and then we can reconvene at the end.
so we're gonna have the same base map.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And do we want 2 or 3 versions of it? Do we want 2 copies of it or 3 copies of it? How ambitious are we thinking in terms of how many people are gonna come to this?
I think we could be prepared for 40 to 50 people, and then we could, also be prepared for like 5.
And so
to
we
10.
could just put a little like map, we could just put 1 out, and then if a bunch of people start coming, and we get a lot
You
of
could just
stickers,
get
we'd be
another-
like, here's the second map,
Yeah.
your map 2, your group 2. And we just like put a number 1 at the bottom of 1 map, we put a number 2, we could just use a Sharpie, and put a 2 at the bottom, and then we'll be like, okay, remember which map you put your stickers on, and then that's your breakout group.
Or does it have to be like, do the groups have to be specific? Can it just be like, find a seat at a table somewhere and you just get placed randomly with, whoever decided to pick a chair? Like, I think, whatever data we get from each group will be valuable. I don't know if it, like,
They have
is
to
there
have
a
their own
reason?
map, yeah. Yep, you're right.
Okay. I just
So
wasn't sure
then
about
what are
this.
you asking them to then do? To use the map as a discussion topic, or what? What are we supposed to do with the map now?
Well, the map is just a visual for them to all see, oh, there's a lot of red dots over here. And for us, like, oh, there's a lot of red dots. Oh, yeah, I put my dot there. I'd like to talk with people about, see why they don't like it, share why I don't like it. Or like with green, like, oh, yeah, I really like going here. Like, I feel like it's a good visual, and then you can, because I'm sure there's lots of different reasons for liking or not liking a specific facility. So,
It's where we're gonna get the breakout groups is where we're gonna get the concrete feedback
Yeah.
on what town residents think about the open spaces in the town. It's like, okay, yeah, I put a green on Old Town Hill because I love it there, it's usually quiet, there's usually nobody there, you know, or it's red because there's never a parking space, so how could I possibly get to the beach on Plum Island? And we're gonna take that concrete feedback, we're not gonna get it from the stickers, because we don't know the story.
Right,
We're gonna
so,
get the story of the stickers, and that's our feedback.
I think the stickered map could be, like, I'm sure I could figure out how to make, like, a digital version of that, and that could be something really cool to put into our.
Yeah, we'll take pictures of
See,
it.
like, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't have to be, it's not like, I think, you know, the map is one thing, we'll have that, everyone will be able to see it, like, sitting at their table, and then the activity is like a separate thing. It's not gonna be like we're referencing the map as we're doing the activity, it's just gonna be people going off, you know, all the things that they have stockpiled about how much they eat.
I like, yeah, I don't know, did someone mention the idea of actually having the map on a table set up like this? And then having people, you know, just get around and stick their stickers on it?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, we're gonna
just-
have them up like on an easel, so they can just stick the stickers on when they walk in.
You're saying put it on the table, so
I just
it's
think
almost
like-
like a working session where you're,
In other words, yeah, they're already working.
you could almost be standing.
Yeah, you can put it wherever you want it.
Not said, you know,
You can put it wherever you
And
want
well,
it.
I thought that the maps were going to come off the easels and onto a table with a group of people around who then were going to share, okay, what I'm wondering is that, okay, is there a value here in asking the group to not only, well, essentially, at that point, to give them something of a task other than, you know, airing their favorite or positive or negative thing, and that is, well, what have they learned? What does the map now with all these dots on tell them about the open space in Newbury? It would seem to me otherwise you're going to have to ask them as a group to record all of these individual things, which may be fascinating, but at the same time will require a great, you know, if you have a
It's
lot
gonna
of
be, that's the
people.
hardest part of the meeting, is writing down the feedback.
Well, I think like some
Yeah, but
activities.
how granular do we want the feedback to be?
I was gonna say some activities that I've done with ACES, they've had us be like, have like a writer or a note taker at each table, and then like the table has to decide like what are the top 3 most important like gripes or things you enjoy. Like you do 3 for each category, and then that's what you share with the rest of the group.
Yeah, okay, so one way of doing this is to ask them, using the map and using the group, what are the 3 kinds of things that make favorites, and what are the 3 kinds of things that make non-favorites?
Mm.
Do you see what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
way, we can learn something which is relatively handleable as opposed to a whole bunch of individual responses. Yes, am I making any sense here?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, so that would be like a living survey essentially, which is, I guess I'm assuming that anyone who shows up at this meeting pretty much is gonna either want to take the survey or already has. So this is like more of a, I'm thinking this is taking that to that next level, which is what parts of, this is your input, what parts of that input are you really interested in? What really shakes your tree here? Is it something you like? Is it something you don't like? Is it something we have? Is it something we don't have?
Yeah, and I want it to be like a place where people can really get granular about their complaints or their things they like, because the survey, you know, we get all that information like top 3, bottom 3, whatever. Like I want it like I want people to be able to say things that they couldn't say with just a survey, like tell a story that they.
Yeah, I want to record all those nuances as well.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
I want to
like-
know all their stories.
Yeah, if we're sitting at, if like each of us are sitting at a table with, you know, citizens, then we could record all those, like do the hard work of recording all the granular stuff, but then we could assign one of them to be like, okay, you are the writer for the group, write down all of, like, the summary of our discussion, like top 3, bottom 3. So
I also feel like our plan is going to be identifying priorities.
Yeah.
So do we even want to ask that question? Like, here are your green ones, here are your red ones, give us your feedback. And then maybe instead of like your wish list, it could be, like, what do you think the priorities should be? So we start getting some feedback where people are telling us what they think the priorities should be in the town. I don't know if that's gonna ultimately be our job based on like hearing the feedback from the surveys, and then we decide what the priorities are gonna be, but if we're looking to come up with the town's priorities, I almost feel like we should ask the question. We already do in the survey,
Yeah.
so maybe we just kind of repeat that here, so we
Yeah.
can hear like the full story of what people think should be the
Yeah, that's
priorities.
Yeah, well, okay, so one other thing that feeds into this is, Sadie, what do you think about the possibility that in another week's time, with let's say 50 responses, there will emerge 1 or 2 common concerns or themes, or, you know, in other words, all of a sudden you will notice you're getting hits of a large number, you know, relatively large numbers out of your 50. Well, and if that happens, shouldn't that be something that we take into account in relation to the public meeting?
So almost
Because,
present a midway or a partial to date. Here's what we know.
well, what
Now we
what I'm
know.
saying is, if we're already getting a bit of a drift,
Right,
having
the trends.
access to a live group of people and saying, okay, we are already seeing in our responses this and this and this, which seem to be held by, 60% of the people or whatever who's responded. What do you think about this?
So the trends that we've observed.
Not
so
to
far.
say we think it's important, but what do you think about this?
I think that's a really good idea, yeah. Like give us sort of, you know,
Because that could be, after giving them the opportunity to have their own pros, their own favorites and hates and whatever, that could be the second task of the group. Would be to say, and in some cases there may be some overlap. In other words, the groups may begin to identify places which clearly are popular because they fit some of the responses. But it seemed to me that the second, what one can do is one can, it's the teacher coming out of me, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, grade 2. You can reward them for the task well done in the first part to give them a second task, because now you can say, hey, you really know how to do this, so we try this. What do you think about these issues?
yeah.
Right?
I would definitely think a summary at the end where, we collect these maps up and collate them in such a way that, or at least summarize them to say,
Well, isn't that part of aren't we going to have to frankly undertake, part of the follow-up has to be, you came to this meeting and we're going to send you a brief, essentially resume of what happened and how valuable this is going to be for us, even if it's not.
Should we have like a sign-up sheet then? People
Yeah, I just
show
wrote
up.
down sign-in sheet assignment.
so, even, we should be able to get the top line stuff out. Like, some things are gonna be obvious. Like, there'll be a pile of green buttons somewhere. just this unmistakable huge bar, and another one of red. And so we can, at the end of the meeting, say, hey, look, okay, thanks for your input. Here's 2 things we got out of this argument. You like this and you don't like that. Something we didn't know before we had this meeting. And thank you, and we're going to follow up a little more detail with, more of the, more of what people actually said. And we're going to ask you if you'd like to prioritize or participate or take it to the next level, which is, help us essentially
Right.
create this report.
Okay, we're also going to have to nail these people contact-wise. Now, do we do this as they come in? Do we ask people to sign in?
Oh, yeah. And just ask you to check a box. Do you want to receive like a summary of the feedback from this meeting? That's all.
And you put on.
Yeah, but we have to know who they are or how they want to
Yeah,
get it.
summary, sign sheets,
It's
their
a
name,
sign-in sheet.
email.
So
Yeah.
if they say yes, then it's like then they add their email address. So yeah, the form would be set up in a dummy-proof way.
I don't, okay, my feeling is they get it, they don't ask, they get it anyway.
Yeah, unless I say I'm not giving you my email address, which
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah.
Everybody just gets to contribute however much they want to contribute.
Email for
We'll
future
try.
correspondence.
Put a summary up on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah, we will put the summary, right. But we need to use this, I think, as a little blackmail, in a way. That you came and, okay, all right, never mind.
I actually just think that people are going to give what they can give. And if they came and gave some time, I think that's great.
Yeah, sure, all right.
Can I just make a suggestion that we get little name tags for people to put their names on so we could kind
yes,
of have a little back.
For us or for also the
Well,
for
anybody
everyone.
really.
For
I think that would be a really good idea.
So could we have 2 different colors in case they will have a question for the committee?
Yes.
Done this before?
That was a detail I would never have thought of.
I might actually have some.
Now, okay, we mustn't lose sight, I think, of one thing that you said was very important. I think we do need to go outside
Yeah.
before we finish here and take a look and decide, because it's a funny shaped area.
Yeah.
I also wanted
Okay.
to ask if if we want to make a subcommittee just to like focus on designing the PowerPoint. I feel like, or if we want to, if someone wants to, take it on, but I think it would be nice to have like 1 or 2 or 3 people work on it just up until the meeting happens.
I agree.
You've
I
got
agree.
your
All I
own
did was
stuff.
like put content on. I didn't format it. I didn't make it look pretty. I didn't make it look inviting. I was just kind of like getting down.
Yeah, but and then Dave, you added some good imagery as well. I think I don't know if I have it, but I think you sent it to everyone. Oh yeah, here we go. I think this was a good
Yeah.
setup for sure.
Yeah, I just feel
Yeah, okay,
that
yeah.
we have to provide visual stuff to
I-
people.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I love it. Yeah.
Right, and we also need to think about the recreation committee, by the way, too, before we get through. But sorry about that. This is the sort of way you can do it. And you may notice I changed the order of things. Kristen and Sadie should not be at the top of the pecking order, because this should be residence to residence. And Sadie and Kristen are staff, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all, but that should be clear, I
Yeah.
think.
Definitely, I agree.
And it's
Well-
important.
Well, Kristen is a resident.
Yeah, right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Do we think, well, anyway, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you just want to go on just briefly to the next slides, big slides. This is our top, very expensive top lot, guys, you're looking eventually when it's finished, because it was under construction, at $225,000 worth. I'm not sure where that all comes and goes, but anyway. We could use this and use the committee people across the bottom with some nice open space. This is just sort of how
Great.
I was thinking. Then the next one, Sadie, is the map, so that we have a
Not
map.
the updated now.
Yeah, and it's tightened up, Mike, largely so that it's a bit larger, so you can sort of see the print size. Unfortunately, on small things, the font that you use tend to collapse, and I'm not quite sure why that's the case, but so as soon as you blow it up, it's okay. When I say collapse, it gets a bit fragmentary, that's all.
It looks good here though.
Yeah, and here it's a little better. Then the next one, Sadie.
Damn Times New Roman.
Yeah. It reads very well, by the way. Your new map does. The color choices have really carried through. I unfortunately have found one more place that should be on.
Let me know.
Well, and that I
You too? Yeah.
is the town landing.
Oh, yeah, good call.
I'm sorry, I should have caught that before.
Yep.
God, no, have you guys
The
know?
boat ramp?
Yeah, the boat.
Yeah,
Do you know what they've just done to it?
they paved the parking lot.
Yeah, absolute crazy. I mean,
Why is that crazy? All the sediment was running down into the river. I'm so
Yes.
glad they paved it. Because now we don't have sediment running into the river.
No, what no, you have running into the river is gasoline and oil.
You still had it.
There.
You still
Wait,
had
what's
it.
happening before? Before it was going into the groundwater and then getting out there. Now, it's going along the south.
Anyway, all right. So, this is a way of simply keeping the visuals flowing and making and forcing one to select less text, bigger, with a simple message each time. And if you go to the next one, if you will, yeah, it doesn't have a text. You see, this is the kind of image. What I was thinking is, if you think about the images you've seen, they've all been of different kinds of places and different kinds of potential activity, which was just sort of the way I was running it,
I love it.
you know.
They're awesome.
And
Absolutely.
I'm fine with, combining what you created already, Christina, with this design format. Is that okay with everyone if I, take that on, or does anyone want to work on that specifically?
No, you can do it, and you can take all the extra text and put it down in the notes or something, just so that
We have it for.
we have it for
use.
ourselves and talk over.
Yeah. And I'll take into consideration what we talked about the format of the meeting and everything tonight. Yeah.
Excellent.
Does anybody else want to work with Sadie on that, on Fauna?
I don't want to take it out of anyone's hands if they want to help,
No.
but I'm happy to.
You can call on me for whatever you need, okay?
Sounds good.
I will shoot you some images, that will help. If you found other images you said there's a sort of.
Yeah, there's some from
Yeah,
just around
right,
town that
yeah.
looked really nice and scenic,
Right. But the disaster that occurred on the front of the master plan, the first one was almost a disaster in that they showed Phragmites.
Oh my God, I had a
Right?
heart attack.
Well, that got tuned. And then what did they do?
Big
They
Japanese
showed one of the
knocks.
worst. The
Exactly.
fridge, right? I mean, it's just like, oh, geez, that's really cool. So, but okay. So,
So can we talk a little bit about, before it feels like it's 9 o'clock, so we should maybe just finish up, go out there and take a look. But also, we need someone to be emceeing this thing, like when people people come in and then talking through the slide decks. Bill and I were thinking that Kristen might be like a really good person to do that, but wanted to see what the committee thinks, because I know that you were just mentioning that you wanted to be more, but she is a resident. So anyway, who do we want to be, like,
We don't,
The MC
frankly,
here.
from my perspective, two things. We don't want Kristen because that gets it to be official government, right?
okay?
And the other thing is, Kristen, bless her, has a habit of talking too long. In other words, she's full of all kinds of... So do I. So do I. I know that.
So maybe we have somebody else.
I've been at a couple of meetings with her recently, and people ask her, and she's got so much information she wants to share.
I think she'd be good to like have as a resource that people can go
Yeah.
to with their questions that we might not know off the top of our
Yeah.
head.
Right.
But yeah, maybe not the MC.
I think her real strength, and Sadie's too, is resource. Is when we get to something where we're not sure, hey, Kristen, what's the deal?
Great question.
How does it work? Right?
Does anyone else want to volunteer to be the MC? Or,
I mean, I'm happy to, but I don't, like, if someone else was dying to, then they should take the opportunity, because I talk at public meetings all the time for my job, so.
I think you'd be a great MC, Christina.
Okay.
I think you'd do a good job. That's just my opinion.
I don't know, what does anybody else want to take it on? Mike?
Not particularly. I'm sorry.
I
Great.
think what might be good, if I might suggest it with absolutely no modesty, is we could tag team it, you and I. In other words, you could do the bulk of the sort of organizing stuff, and I could just do the little introduction bit and the sum up, maybe, the
Yeah.
okay bit.
Because I'm like a timekeeper, and you
Uh-huh.
are a talker. So I will like rein you in, and you get to put the nice touches on it. Because I'm more like, okay, like I'll be reading the room to see like, have we talked these people out? Because if so, we're not asking question two, like we're just gonna move on or whatever. So,
And I would venture to say, David, you've been most involved in various town endeavors out of anybody on this committee, so.
Well, that's
you're
that's
adding
true.
that sort of, this, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the sort of thing I've done a lot of, so,
I've tried to stay out of town business as much as possible.
this is awesome. I feel like we came down, as long as we're really comfortable with this, really, we're going to ask people to tell us what they think about the open space and recreation areas. And then we're going to ask them to give us details about what they just told us and help us with our priorities. I would say if we had time, and if you have time, to collate responses as people are back in one big group. They report out their top items, but we really want the data from all the items they talked about. And then we also say, also, by the way, you might find it interesting that these are the results of our survey so far. Does anybody have any more comments? Like, is this resonating with anybody? And we just sort of, as a big group, instead of breaking into a group, it could be our final.
No, I think that's a fundamental of the small group process anyway, that they have to come back and share. And occasionally, you get the people who opted to be recorders have a panic and can't stand up and tell anybody. That gets sorted too.
Yeah, they'll sort it
That's all.
I don't know, take your hand over, have somebody
Right.
who's gonna.
So just a couple of things. We're gonna have these breakout tables. It's not we can have physical copies of the map made for each of the tables. That's
Yeah,
not a problem.
MVPC can print out big ones if we want, so we don't have to.
We need
worry.
24 by 36 on the foam board. You guys were gonna look into the plotter and make sure that it works.
Yes,
And actually, I would print them out, honestly, I would print them out this week or next week, so that we just know that it's done
Yeah.
and that it works, so we're not
Yes.
caught short.
Do we want, sorry, one more thing, do we want the open space map Like which map are we renting out? I can't remember what we decided.
I think it's
The
Mike's.
new Mike's.
You're the one you just sent, like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so, right?
I'll experiment with that.
That seems like it makes the most sense.
It does.
The other thing is, we should probably set a maximum number of people per table, just to, like no more than 10 or something like that. I know I'm being,
Yeah, you're being traditions. I feel like we're just gonna have to
just
divide
in
it
case,
into maps.
sometimes,
I mean, we
Yeah.
can print out 3 maps so that we have 3 groups. We could only put up 1 map and more than 10 people come, then we could put up another map and have those people put their things there. We could have a
Yeah.
3rd map in the waiting.
Also,
Just in case.
also we've got to be sensitive to the fact that we need to go off and join groups as needed. In other words, if a group's
Okay.
only got 3, then at least
Yeah.
one of us has to go off and join that group, not,
Oh, I think somebody needs to be, we all need to be
Yeah, we
represented
do.
in
Yeah.
Right.
every group so that we can
Like
like
as a
keep
rep,
track
yeah.
of
Right.
people.
so no more
Yeah.
than like 6 tables or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well-
no more than 10 persons.
If it turns out that there's like
Yeah.
1 or 2 people at each table, because everyone wants to start on a table, we could be like, all right, we're gonna do it like 3 people per table, and then all come
I wasn't
together.
even thinking that there were different tables, so everyone has a totally different image of what the rooms, how the rooms are gonna be set up. So I think it is, we'll have to go out and decide what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, do we want to do that now?
It seems like.
And can I just say that,
Oh, yeah.
can we print up maybe 1 or 2 extra maps?
Yeah.
Is that, I
Like-
can
like big
imagine
ones?
those
Just in case, yeah.
come in handy down the road if nothing else.
Yeah.
You know,
how are we gonna do the table dividing up?
Well, let's go out and take a look.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's
That
get
map
this.
that I made is
can we
set
adjourn
to
the
about
meeting?
percentage.
Okay.
I feel like we're still in it, I don't know. Oh, but now we're not gonna be recorded if we walk out with.
That's fine.
All the other maps were about my
We're
17.
doing
Yeah.
just part of the-
Just the size of the
Table.
table.
I'm sure you can do whatever relative ratio.
Yeah, I just wanted us to point that out, because I
That's
set
good
it to
to know.
that, for that reason, for like.
Set out
Good to know.
24 to 36 should.
It will fit into that
Pretty
ratio?
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't do that math in my head, but yeah.
It's fine.
Cool. So, I think, these are squares
and you can get 6 around squares.
Yeah, at least.
But are we going to have, at least at some point, be facing on the screen to see the slides? In my plan, in my head, I was thinking that these tables would go like this, we only have chairs on the back, and we have empty set tables.
Chairs on the back and sides, and then we'll set them together at the top with a little circle, and then you can face
tables there. Yeah, we're only gonna need, I think, two tables, and I think they fold up, but they, no, maybe they don't. Anyway, we may need to talk briefly with Cindy to find out sort of whether we can push things around for ourselves or what she wants us to do.
I think she's been just like, as long as we don't take anything from her.
Yeah.
And she was okay with us having this public meeting, I really didn't
Yes.
check with her.
Yeah, she was fine, she said any, personal or confidential documents or whatever would be locked away, won't be an issue. She does not seem worried about that also.
Do we want to provide water?
I was thinking we should have some sort of food snack or drink also. Yeah.
Well, these are fun little things you get.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if they would allow us to use that. It might be.
I'm not wise telling
Well, we would, I think, provide. Are we not gonna? Food or drink? Are we having food or drink or no?
I would say at 7 o'clock, water or, maybe something with artificial sugar or whatever it is, but not food. I don't think it
How would you say, like, case of Cold Spring water bottles, 24 water bottles?
Yeah.
And a little bowl of chocolate.
That's a really good.
What time do we get into the room that night?
I
Starting at 7, we meet here by 6.
Yeah, I would think so.
will ask. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
if
just-
something's going on there, afternoon,
Yeah, I'm not sure if it goes right up until 7.
Yeah.
I will ask.
All right.
Oh, maybe we can use that on the sign-in sheet and just follow that table.
Or
People
did.
send it over to.
Yeah, right. It's a good thought. And this one actually is a welcome table too. This is fun. Yeah.
Everybody's okay, it's like, do so next week,
Well, I think actually it's interesting, this is quite a very good space, what we're planning to do, it's a little better in some ways than the room at the library, which doesn't have a really good kind of lobby area. Though it's a great thing to have, we can use it. Okay, terrific.
Yeah, I feel better about that.
See, what's a cutoff date for, like, I'm out of town landing, I know Sean had a suggestion for another thing to add to the map. What's the latest you want, the next version?
Like for the town meeting.
Yeah. Like, by the end, like this week, like no later than end of this week. So if I don't get it done, we're going with what we, I emailed
Yeah.
already, type of thing. It's just,
I think, maybe by like the end of next week, and I can definitely experiment with the plotter this week. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be with the map. I can just do the
okay.
map that you already sent. But
Maybe if we have it printed by the Friday before, because then if some glitch happens, we can use FedEx over the weekend or something to get it done.
just, as soon as possible without,
Yeah.
going crazy.
Put that in the middle of next week.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'll check
Wednesday of next week.
I'll be working, I believe, Thursday, so maybe by like Wednesday,
Oh, Wednesday night.
and then like, that'll be my to-do list
Which is
Thursday.
the 14th, right? May 14th.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
Wednesday. is when I'll be working,
Will you work on Wednesday?
but not
Which is the
Thursday.
14th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So then could you do it by Wednesday morning?
yeah,
You said by Wednesday morning?
yeah.
that'd be helpful.
Definitely.
Okay,
Okay.
It's coming down to this
do
now.
are we all feeling supremely confident?
Except I want to know what Sean's other
Oh,
suggestion was on that.
Couple of, there's a park that goes around the post office in Byfield. It has the World War II memorial on it.
I'm gonna pass these out totally off.
Oh, I
Um,
don't agree.
I don't know, I think a couple. Oh, yeah, we were gonna maybe,
it's
Oh,
just
I wanted to
a-
talk about
Yeah.
the paper
Or on
surveys.
the side.
yeah, I wanted to know people.
The benches are on
Thank you.
Main Street,
Okay.
but the park actually goes all the way around to Central Street. Well, I just, and there's a green belt.
You sure?
There's two actually on Scotland Road.
They're all
Highfield.
Going on Highfield?
There's two on, well, there's three on, there's two, one's by Highfield. One is across the way from Highfield, and one of them is back down towards the wetland.
Yeah, but they should be shown in the other open space color, because there's no trailhead or
Yeah,
parking.
right.
Well, there's parking for one of them, because it was just there. It's called Scotland.
Is it, maybe it's in
Wait,
West Newbury.
Scotland's,
Yeah, I mean, technically,
there's
that's not,
parking there.
yeah, it's
Okay, and then across the street.
so it's
It's,
it's on the map, it's just
Yeah.
shown as the other, it's in the other protected open space color.
Okay, now can we, oh, because the
So
other
that's,
ones are-
that was, when we started this map,
Yeah,
we made a decision between all open space and like places you can show up to and
Yeah.
recreate in some way, shape, or form.
yeah,
So that was like the dividing line there. Technically, you can recreate on every open space piece on this map. But if somebody's new, I don't know, like somebody's new to town or uncomfortable in just a wild environment, you know, there were all places that have infrastructure that somebody could go to and park and, you know, have a trail, have a this, have a that, so.
I mean, can we just at least put the signage, I mean, just put something like Wet Meadows? I mean, I'm less concerned in the color, but if we just put the little, because the signs are out there already.
I'm not following what you're saying for that one.
So the two Greenbelt ones.
The Wet Meadows one.
There's
Yeah,
Wet Meadow, no, yeah, that one's fine. Something, well, it doesn't matter what the color is, but I mean, it probably should be orange since they're Greenbelt. And then just put the names. One of them is like Hillel Field,
Hiller Field,
Hiller Field, and the other.
which you
one
can't
is-
technically enter except for when the sunflowers are going on. 'Cause it's an
Yeah,
active farm.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I mean, so that's,
Yeah.
so,
It's not-
I
you're
think
not
there
really
are two, wait. I think there are two levels of mapping. There's the level of what I call public mapping, which is for the purposes of people understanding where they can go, where they will find trails,
Yeah.
et cetera, and access. And then for purposes of accuracy, in terms of detailing what we actually have,
Right.
where there are actual either
Which is-
conservation, preservation restrictions.
right, and that's why I threw that like other protected open space
Yeah,
on there to
exactly,
cover, like, so
exactly.
somebody couldn't be like, oh, you know, wait a minute, you know, like, what about, you know, all this protected salt marsh up there? It's like, you
Yeah.
know, at least it's showing, you know? Right.
Notes
the
of
fade.
like,
That's why I was saying, if we could just,
you know.
I mean, like, we don't publicize, like, go to Hiller Field or go to Southwood Woods, like Greenbelt, like, we
no,
don't.
I don't.
It's not on any, it's not on our website, it's not on our app, it's like a place for somebody to go because there is no parking, technically.
Yeah, but,
Not supposed to park on Scholar Road.
but it is open.
It is, and it is shown as protected open space.
Right.
It's just not shown as like a place that,
Yeah, I guess all I'm advocating for is just to put the same name that's up on the sign, just
Yeah,
so people,
I mean, there's a lot more than just those two then. If that's the avenue we're going in, there's a lot more labeling to be done on this map.
Yeah,
And I just,
I think,
I was hesitant to put labels on the map and not just have it color coded to the legend, because for me, once a map gets too busy,
yeah,
it's like I'm lost with it, but
it's a lot
for what we were
forward.
trying to use it for, it made sense to me to just ID everything, so that way somebody had a clear, you know, the link below on the webpage or something, it just was a clear correlation between the map and where it is.
Yeah.
It'll just be right there.
I don't know, I mean,
That's a really good idea.
I think it's gonna be helpful to have these identifiers, at least for our purposes.
But for the meeting,
Maybe for the meeting at least, for not other.
Yeah, well, I think maybe that's right now, that's a task a little further sort of down the line, is to eventually, yes, it would be, I think, very useful to build actually a map which actually takes out all the obvious ones
Yeah.
and gives you a sense of the stuff that's conserved or preserved but perhaps not accessible, or you get to funny things like, for example, the piece of Old Town Hill, which is next to the cemetery,
right,
abuts wildlife refuge, National Wildlife Refuge, but when you get there, there's no admittance.
right.
Which is kind of weird, because there's a wonderful trail that goes down to the end of that, and then where are you? You know,
Yeah.
you have to turn around and come back, but it's very tempting to go wandering off. You know, we need to look at things like that, I think, later, but right now.
Well,
I think
and
we
technically
need-
MVPC's open space map shows that.
Yeah.
That one includes all the chapter 61 properties, all that type of stuff, which
Okay.
I'm not even showing chapter lands, you know, on this. I
Right.
didn't think that.
No, I don't think we can.
This map?
Right.
This is all good.
Okay, anything else
Okay.
I'll
from?
get what we have here and then we can
Individual.
outsource things I might ask you.
were we set on putting the flyers or the surveys at other places in town?
That's something we need to talk
Need
about.
help?
Because I'm worried that if we have some at the store, some at the gas station, some at the butchery, like, are we having people return them to the place where they receive them? Because that might be tricky for us.
Right.
Because then we'll have to, periodically check. It would be easier for the person to just go twice to the same place that they usually go and not have to go to town hall, which they might not go too often, but I
Right.
think it's,
Right.
I think it outweighs, us having to do that.
Yeah, I think we should put a little note on top.
Of that,
We
return to town hall and.
Yeah.
Or
only
mail
town-
to,
Yeah.
or mail to, or leaving in turn.
Yeah,
And so Pete, like out on Plum Island, that building, I don't know if that's even open. And
yeah.
I'm just thinking of the people
we
that
were-
are driving 20 plus minutes
Yeah.
to get here. So-
We were thinking like, Plum Island Provisions or like the place next to the creamery,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
where we could leave them for people.
Yeah.
And what
I guess I was referring to returning it there.
Mhm.
But that, I don't know anything about the hall, so.
I think it's more like a function space. I feel like
It is.
people don't go there like
No.
regularly, but
All right.
I think the
I
convenience
think
stores
if it's
there.
mail and town hall, then I guess that's it.
No, the other possibility, which is a real safe place, is the back of the green.
The bank.
Across from the police.
Yeah, they're very community-minded, the Newburyport Bank, and they might be willing to not only distribute them, but also take them back. And if you had picked it up some odd place to go to the bank, bankers are good at keeping things, mostly.
Does the police station have a little lobby? in
That's
there?
what I was wondering, but then I
Yeah.
didn't know if they want people just, flying
Right.
again.
Okay, anything else?
They do have a
So
lot.
could you
Yeah.
print
Yeah.
100 copies of the survey for
Yeah,
us?
blast.
I printed some,
Oh, you did already?
but I did not
Nice
put
layouts.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I did not say how to return it, so the ones that I printed already and put by Gretchen's office, I just wrote on the bottom, like, please return to town hall, thank you,
Mhm.
in pen. So, if you are all bringing these to different places, you could just write on the back, please return to town hall or mail.
Yeah, that's
Did
what
you
it's
copy it?
Where is the box for me?
It's,
Is that?
I put it out already, it's, under, it's under a table, like right when you walk into the town clerk's office, there's a little table, there's the window.
So it's town clerk's office.
Town clerk's Gretchen, her name's Gretchen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
would you want the note to say like, just return to town hall? or
please return to the bin at the town clerk's office, just so people know where to go
Yeah,
and what's
no, I
in.
know, not everybody's.
Now, I'd be willing, since I'm a customer of theirs, and can lean on them slightly, to go to the town, the bank on the green and talk to them about it and see what they'd be willing to do, because then you could probably add it, because it would seem to me, you know, that they might be willing to distribute this little thing and some other stuff, but they also might be willing just to take anybody's as long as we were willing to come by and pick them up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very close to there, so we can pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's perfect.
Gretchen used to, I believe Gretchen Gerard used to work in that actual location
Oh.
for that bank, so.
I printed out enough to have
She might, that might. just
two
be-
for everybody, which isn't a lot, but I figure, you know, if you go to one place, it'll get at least 2 people. I'll print more,
Yeah.
it's not a lot, but I figure
Right, no, that's fine.
How many people fill this out?
Great.
38.
The one thing while we're doing
If you guys
that,
are planning on dropping it off, if you're not.
I just wanted.
Yeah,
We're
do we
doing
want to
tender
talk?
crop and, we should.
Yeah, who's going where?
Yeah.
That's true. Do people have places they want to drop them off to?
So you're gonna do tender crop on the butchery.
Okay.
I can bring some of these, all these.
Do you want me to get the water?
Sure.
One less thing for you to do,
That
and
would be
it's easy
helpful.
for me to bring
Yeah.
it over here. So let me
Sounds
get the water. What if I do 224s?
Yeah.
124, because not everybody's gonna take one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
like a sparkling
Yeah.
water too.
And I will have to, not be seen because things I've said.
Oh, the plastic water bottles.
Yeah. Anyway, never mind. Okay, you've all had contact from Joy?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
If I do it right now, am I gonna have to do it again after my term ends at the end of the year?
Well, all
Or
right,
do we decide?
so my response, I said it to Sadie and Kristen, I think. Okay, my response to her was, we gotta stop this business of 1-year appointments for everybody, it's crazy. Okay, and so, there has been no response. I was thanked for my wish to continue, but there was no response to that, so I'm going to start pushing because we need, I'm not saying we all need to volunteer for 3 years or anything like that, but in order to have a sensible situation where we don't have to do this every year, and where in fact people who in the future come onto this committee get appointed knowing that they know that they have choices, etc. So I don't know, do all of you feel that's a sensible move to? No, most of the other committees, I think the rec committee is ridiculous like that, one year. They all have to be appointed every year. It doesn't make any sense at all, because most of the people on the committee currently have been there for years. I don't.
It doesn't bother me so much to have to send an email and say, yes, I'm willing to continue this year, like, I'd like to be added for this year. So that part doesn't, I was just trying to figure out, I was trying to gain the conflict of interest training to figure out if I did it now, am I gonna have to do it again when my term ends? Or is it actually a calendar year?
I
thing
thought
and
it
I'm
was for
good
the
a
next
calendar?
year that we were saying yes.
So there's 2 things you have to do. One is do the
Okay.
conflict training,
Oh,
the state's conflict
I
training.
missed that part somehow.
And then the
Okay.
second one is sign up. If you want to do it again for another year, let us know, right? Those are the 2 things that we have to do. Is it conflict training? What is it called? It's a,
Yeah, well,
you know what training it is, right? It's like, it's
It's
the
yeah,
That was the other thing that I was actually trying to do. So
Yeah,
I don't
so-
mind saying every year that I'm interested.
Does
Right, just good, that's an email reply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
The conflict training.
And then you have to sign the book. Have you signed the book? You have to sign the book as well, so it is like a two-part
Yeah.
process.
Yeah,
And then you have to do the conflict of interest, so, okay.
that's fine.
Ethics training, I think it's ethics training.
Well, you see, that would, among other things, simplify the conflict of interest nonsense, right? And that is, you would just take it once for the term of your appointment. And what we do is basically, we could do this in a number of different ways. We can either draw straws for who gets 3 and who gets 2 and who gets 1 this year, and then it simply starts cycling through, and they'd be 3-year appointments. And if you don't want to do it, then you say, dear town, I wish to resign from. You know, it's a sort of, I don't know, the reaction when I talked about this several years ago was, well, people don't always want to serve all that length of time. Fine, that's no problem. Appoint them for 3 years and if they can resign. Yeah. Anyway, I'll see if I can get this squared away.
I'm not
because
gonna see
it's-
either way, so, yeah, however it works out.
And, because part of the issue is if you look at the website, you will find out that there are people on there whose term expired last year, but they're still doing stuff. Either that, or they've gone off to Alaska and not sent a postcard. Who knows? So we through?
No, that's,
Well, we still need to decide who's going where to drop stuff off, to drop off surveys.
who's one of these ones? Yeah.
Yeah, I figure I'm gonna take the big one and put it on there and then put little, like, some current, some back, the little ones under there so people can take them to up.
Right,
Oh, and if anybody wants, I can send them.
Yeah.
and then
And then take a little
I have
bit
4
there.
more of these,
these
if someone
will also
wanna
go,
go somewhere.
like say the library, you have the bulletin board with this,
Yeah.
and then this could be down below with a little pointy sign.
Yeah, and I can send this out to everybody, and there's a slightly different version, because if you just try pushing this up, it collapses and doesn't read. And so I tweaked it a bit, you know.
So who's going where to drop off surveys? Paper surveys. I can go wherever.
I'm happy to do the Byfield area, Sean, I know you're in Byfield also, but
I have a couple more, people wanna add more to their locations.
I have to go back to the library and check what they're up to,
are you saying that you want to do the library, or are
The
you?
place is.
but I'll do the bank thing.
All
Okay. So the bank is,
right, so which place do you wanna go to?
I haven't thought of any place.
All right, which place do you wanna go to?
I can do the library and the convenience store.
Okay,
The mini mart on Main
Mini
Street.
Mart, thank
Okay.
you. I know you would, I'll just.
the library's got stuff.
They don't have paper surveys though, do they? They don't have paper copies that people can.
No, I don't think they do.
I can do that since I'm right here, or
Yeah,
if you want
right.
to, I can do it.
You'll do the library.
I'll
I'll
do
he's
do
not
the
in the
Mini Mart.
library anymore, okay?
I'll do the mini mart.
Yes.
Christina, I know you mentioned the town, the transfer station. I know I'll be going there probably this Saturday. I can do an hour or two,
Yeah,
or,
yep, the next time that we go to the dump, we're gonna do the transfer station. Like
Oh.
live, and we're not gonna post it, we're just gonna be there live,
handing out.
handing out.
Yeah,
I should probably check with Noah Brothers.
yeah, I'm not sure that have we checked?
No, but when I pull up, I'll ask.
Yeah, I can call them.
Do you have a dog?
Well, the
Yeah.
point
Do you have
is,
a dog? Don't, no.
They love it, they give it, they give it, one of the biggest
Yeah,
treats of
exactly,
any person
so-
out there.
Bring your dog, they'll let you do whatever you want.
Either of the guys.
Either of the guys.
I don't know, has anybody talked to anyone at the dump? Because the dump is not run by the town.
Right, it's mellow.
Yeah.
Well, when I pull up, I'll ask them, and if they say yes, then I'll do it.
We still
If they
own
say
the
no, then
land.
Yeah, I don't think.
They're okay with it.
Well, I'm gonna ask them when I get there.
Oh, I'm gonna say, because there were problems, but that had more to do with politics than not.
Okay,
Yes.
well,
I think, yeah,
it's simple.
show up and
We'll just show up, and if they say no, then they say no, and we move on.
Does someone wanna go to the butchery?
We're doing Cinder Block on the butchery, sorry, I started with that.
No, you're good.
I'll go over to Pearson Plaza and cover them.
That sounds awesome.
Pearson Plaza, okay.
And if, I know I didn't print out a whole lot, so if people wanna stop by here and pick some more up, I'll print some out tomorrow, and they'll be here to pick up. I'll leave them in the town clerk's office.
Oh, how about the bank, so David, you took on the bank.
Sorry?
You took on the bank on the.
Yes, I'm doing the bank, and I'm keeping in touch with the library.
Does that mean you'll?
Yeah, I'm
check
going to the
all
library because I've already
station?
talked with them and they have stuff and they have this kind of thing.
Yeah, just wanted to.
I have two versions of this, one of which says something else as well. I
Did that
can't
take you to
remember.
the survey?
It did.
Okay.
Alright, so we've got 6 places, that's pretty good around town. Oh, Surfland, right, we've got a Surfland.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the big flyer at Colby's.
Oldies,
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
take it on the door or put it on the counter.
awesome.
And just make sure, everyone, that you write where to return it on
Yes.
the back of.
Oh, okay, yes.
Can we send them home with kids from the schools maybe? At least these things?
I could I could try to find someone to talk to about doing that, like, someone to talk to at the schools. Yeah,
At NES.
Okay.
yeah, I will ask Kristen. about that.
Anyone know any places on the island?
Surfline.
Oh, so that's, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, how about, Audubon or any of those places?
Yeah, I could possibly swing by a trailhead or something that seems like it's busy on Saturday morning and hand out, maybe, is it illegal to put it on people's cars? Because I could just put it on the cars, like at Old Town Hill. Can I just put it on there?
Or the
Windshield?
wood kiosk. Yeah, the challenge with that is that it does have a lot of out-of-town people, but we could do it, you know. You could put it on the kiosk. What do you think about the kiosk?
Oh, I don't want town
On that-
residents.
that
going
parallel
to-
line.
I was gonna do that, but.
Oh, there is
When
a
you go down-
question on the survey that asks, are you a town resident? So we can separate all the results, and I don't think it's a bad thing to have non-residents who
Okay.
use facilities.
So we're okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you for
No.
that reminder.
For returning, for doing the survey, you're saying? I think it's okay to do it.
If if you're not a Beaver resident, it's not like terrible if you do
Right,
it.
okay.
Okay, are we ready to adjourn?
We are.
I am.
Yeah, seconded.
Very good, okay, so we are adjourned.